So strange. I was just on OkCupid and this guy messaged me because I was like, I'm only looking to date for marriage to find a husband and like a nice man who has beliefs and good morals and all that good stuff. I say in my profile. So then this man who's like, he says he's a devout Catholic, he's dating to find a wife. We talk. And I say I strongly believe in abstinence and stuff. And like in his profile, he said he's a Trump supporter, but in my profile, I say I don't care who you support as long as you're a good person and you have a good reason for your choices. So I basically don't care who you choose to vote for or whatever. I don't care what religion you are or whatever. It's just basically be a good, nice person. And I was like, I strongly believe in abstinence. He says he's a Catholic. And he said he agreed with me. It makes for a better marriage to be abstinent. And I asked, is he a virgin? He says no. I'm like, what do you mean? You just said you agreed with me saying abstinence is good for a marriage. And it wasn't that I called him out on it or anything. And then asked me, is he a virgin? He says no, but I'm like, you just agreed with me. And then he's like, it's called reconciliation in the Catholic Church. It's like, okay, you're born again or whatever, reconciliation. But it it didn't make any sense to me. And then he was like, he's already irritated with me. And that was our whole conversation. And it was like, okay, you were looking for a wife. You agreed with me. I said everything you wanted to hear, that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom when I didn't have work because my job gives me time. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm an educated woman and I have the option to be a stay-at-home mom and work a full-time job and possibly creating a business too and all this other stuff. Because you liked everything I said. Because it's like, I said I'll be a stay-at-home mom, I'll contribute, take care of the family, work, and be able to homeschool the kids. And I said I'd cook like 4 meals a day and I'd grow the food. So everything was great, but I asked that one thing and he got so irritated with me, then he blocked me. But it was like, if you're freaking out that quick over something, I'm just trying to understand the situation. You said you agreed with me about abstinence. And when I asked you about it, you freaked out and said I was irritating you. I only asked one thing. If you were a virgin, you said no. And I just said, how do you agree with me and think it's a good idea if you don't even follow it? And that was just really weird because there was this other guy a few weeks ago. It's like when I agree with a guy, but I do it better because it's like, I agree abstinence. I agree no sex before marriage. Because I just feel if I slept with somebody before marriage and like say it was really good and it clouded my judgment because I'm like, this is really good, I don't want to lose this, versus this guy, he's really nice and everything, but then if he's like not so nice, an asshole or whatever, and it's just really good, I'm like, this is really good, and I'm like jaded because I'm not even thinking about this person's not the nicest, but I'm having a good time at times, so I'm not thinking clearly. And if they're flaws, it's like I'm not really thinking about that, but it's like if I'm thinking with a clear mind and everything, and I'm sober, clear mind, and all this stuff because I don't drink either or smoke or anything, and no sex. So I want to have a clear mind if I'm making this lifelong commitment. Yeah, and when I basically said I'm everything I'm looking for, I'm just looking for that in a guy, then there becomes a problem. I think that's really weird. Because it's like guys say they want all this stuff. I don't sleep around, I don't have sex. It's like I don't really do anything. I cover up. I have old fashioned values. I might say some stuff sometimes, but beyond some stuff I say, it's sometimes like off the wall or whatever, or sometimes just funny or entertaining. I'm basically like a 1950s housewife if I wanted to be, except I can provide for myself and have a full-time job and still stay home and cook and clean and homeschool and still have a full-time job and bring income home. You don't hear too many women say, yeah, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom and have a full-time income and all this stuff. But I can do that. And this guy was basically looking for all that. But then when I questioned him about his abstinence, and it was like, I didn't really question him. I just said, he said he agreed with me on abstinence. I said, are you a virgin? He said, no. And I'm like, you just agreed with me. And then that upset him. And that was the whole conversation, which was odd. And he blocked me. But then there was this other guy, like a few days ago, not like a week ago almost. We talked, it was great. We stayed up talking all night, and it seemed like we were really clicking because I was like, I want to get married, I want to have a baby, and I want to have a family. And he's like, that's great, we can do that. And he was like willing to listen to me about education and getting a better career and stuff, because I assumed he made a certain amount of money, because I know people who do that same job like where I live, they make a decent amount of money. And he was like, yeah, I don't make that much money. And I'm like, that didn't turn me away. I still gave him a chance. I'm willing to work with a guy if he's willing to do better. It's like, if you're not doing the best right now, you don't have your stuff together. It's like, I'm willing to work with you, but when you're unwilling to change and you're willing to stay in your brokenness, and I'm not even saying you need to go out there and get a 9 to 5, work 24 hours a day. It's like, go get a basic job where you can get enough money to support yourself and a family and retire with some money and go on vacation a few times a year. I'm just saying, be middle class. I'm not telling you to be a millionaire. I'm not even telling you to work hard. I'm just telling you to be a slacker, but make enough money to support a family like I do. And it's like, I'll give you all the tips of the things that I do where I can make money. And I don't really have to do that much. And then I still have free time where if I want, I can get a second job. Because I work more than one job, but people think I work more than one job because I need to. No, I don't need to work more than one job. I work more than one job because I like to put money in my savings. I like to invest extra money. And I like to prepare for retirement. And it's like, if I'm making a couple $1,000s extra a month in my free time and I only show up when I feel like it, why not put that money in my savings or invest in myself, go on vacation, buy something that I like? And even after I work my regular job that's full time, that gives me time to work a second job, I still make enough money from there to put away for savings and other things too. But if I barely work my full-time job, why not go do something else in my free time to make extra money? If I can have multiple streams of income, why not? Who knows? A rainy day might come. I might lose a job or something, and I might need my emergency fund. And why I just hold off and deplete my emergency fund when something comes up instead of keep putting money in there when that issue comes up and act like nothing happened, because it's not really affecting me in any way. It just gives me more free time to go find something else to fill that time up with. That's how I feel. And I would love to find a guy that felt that same way. It's like, I'm not saying you need to do all this, but if you can make six figures without much effort, and then also where I live, making six figures isn't that much in the San Francisco Bay Area. If you're not making over 104,000 and you're a single person, that's considered poverty in some areas. In my area, that's poverty. So I choose to live above what's considered the poverty line and not work that hard at all and have fun and do what I want and only show up when I feel like it. Why not? So, this guy that I was talking about, who I talked to for like, we talked for hours, like the first night we met, we talked because we clicked, and he seemed really nice and cool. Like there could have been something, but he was a love bomber, and he pretended like he wanted something. But the funny part was, he was like all of a sudden, like 2 days later, he's really passionate about vaccines. And the thing is, I'm an educator. In California, you're an educator. You're required to have vaccines. You're required to get yearly vaccines. You're required to have COVID and everything. And it's like, I'm not a big supporter of that shot. But to keep my job and all my jobs and not end up homeless, I was required to get it. And I ended up getting sick. And I was just saying, I wasn't the biggest supporter of it. If I had a kid, would I get my kid that shot? No, not unless there was some reason where I felt it was necessary. And he was like, he feels strongly about vaccinations. And the thing is, he knows nothing about vaccinations. His job doesn't require him to get a vaccination or anything. And my job requires me to. And the funny thing is, he feels strongly about vaccination and he doesn't have all his vaccinations. And I'm more vaccinated than him, but he's the one that feels strongly about vaccinations. And he said things didn't work out between us because I'm an anti vaxxer, but I have more vaccinations than him. And I'm trying to understand, I'm an anti vaxxer, but I have more vaccinations than you. And it's like, I'm not judging people on the vaccinations they choose to get. I understand if people don't want to get stuff done, but he used being anti vaccination as a reason that we couldn't work out, because he said if he had kids, he feels strongly that he wants them to be vaccinated. I never said I was against it, because it's such a rigorous vaccination schedule that they have these days, and more vaccines are always being added when something comes out new every now and then. I just said I wouldn't want to pump my baby with so many so young. I would take the advice of a doctor and do what I felt was best with consulting a doctor. And he's like, I really want my kids to be vaccinated. I never said I wouldn't vaccinate my kids if I had them. I just said I would consult a doctor. He took that as anti vaxxer because I said I would talk to a doctor. And I'm like, if I had a kid that was medically fragile and the doctor's like, that could kill your kid or something, because I work with tons of kids that are medically fragile. Some can't get vaccines. So if a doctor's telling me no and it might put my child's life in danger, I'm not going to do it. And because I said that, he was like, he'd get a second opinion. It's like, okay, but something like that, it's like certain things I'd get a second opinion on, but it only takes one person to tell me it might put my child's life in danger. And it's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'd get a second opinion at some point, but I'm not going to go like rush into it. Like if somebody said my kid had cancer, hell yeah, I'm going to rush into that to make sure my kid's okay. But if my kid's weak and has issues or something, or an allergy, it's like, I'm not going to try and force them to do something that could endanger their life or something. But that upset him because I said I would consult a doctor, but he feels strongly about vaccinations, but he has less vaccinations than me. And the thing is, I'm not pro, I'm not anti. But it's like when you start telling me I'm anti something, you need to be more than me. If you're telling me I'm anti vaccination, you need to have more vaccinations than me. You need to go to the doctor more than me and all this stuff. And then it's like, okay, you want to tell me I'm anti? If you have more vaccinations than me and you can prove it, it's like, okay, I'm not saying I'm pro, I'm not saying I'm anti, but don't try and use that as a reason why you can't be with me or in a relationship with me. And then I just see it as a good sign, as you showed your red flags, and I'm glad I found out early than found out if I had a kid with you, if I married you and had a kid. And I just felt that that was like really weird. You tell me I'm anti-vaccination, but I have more vaccinations than you. I don't understand that. And then like the guy who got mad at me because I said he was like he's so Catholic, and I was just saying things that I personally believe in. I go to Catholic church sometimes. I go to other religious services. I go to other religious temples. But I would say overwhelmingly, I've maintained faith in the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, whatever, mainly. And I've gone to mosque and things, but I would say I've been predominantly in the Christian Catholic faith my whole life. And I have dated a lot of Muslim men. I've dated a lot of Hindu men. I've dated a I've actually never dated a guy that's come out and said that he was Christian, but I've dated a lot of guys that were Muslim and Hindu that have been outspoken about being Muslim and stuff. I have no issue with that. I could totally marry a Muslim guy, and I think probably most likely if I did get married, the guy would probably be Muslim. But I have dated guys who are Jewish. They were never really all that outspoken about being Jewish or anything. But I have dated a lot of Jewish guys, a lot of Muslim guys, and a lot of Hindu guys. But one thing I've noticed, especially with like guys that identify, like this guy, he identified as Catholic, but basically it was the same thing like the guy with the vaccinations. He was so devout Catholic when I started saying things that I believed in, not even just as a Catholic or anything, but as a Christian or even a non religious person. I feel that abstinence is very important because you hear about people getting married all the time because they were like, they wanted to have sex, they got married. They wanted to wait until marriage, so they got married young and they married somebody because they wanted to have sex. And then things didn't work out. The sex wasn't good. It was over, or they had sex with somebody and they're like the sex was so good, they wanted to get married. And then they realize, yeah, I don't really like this person. We don't have the same values. We don't have the same beliefs and things. And I feel like, why confuse a situation with sex and things like that? It's like, figure out if I like you as a person, then decide if I want to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you. And you can work the rest of your life like fixing your sex life or whatever. But one thing I will say, I might be religious, have faith or whatever, but no matter how religious you are, like, I highly doubt you're gonna be like, oh, I'm so religious. I loved him so much. He had 2 inches. We can make it work. I don't get that. And then I also don't understand when guys, because it's like the go to number when guys have a small one. I don't get that, but that'll be another video. But I don't understand when you tell a guy you're basically what they say they're looking for, but when you call them out saying they're not what they say they're looking for, And then they say it's not working out. And it was like, you called me out on vaccines, but I'm more vaccinated than you. You tried to call me out on the Catholic thing, but I have stronger Catholic faith than you, but you might know more like specific Catholic stuff than me because you focus on that, but you don't actually practice like the abstinence and all that stuff. You go to church and you go sleep around and do all this other stuff. And I might not go to church every Sunday, but I know the basics. Don't sleep around, don't do all this stuff. And it's like the church forgives you for that stuff, but just because the church forgives you doesn't mean you should go do it. So if you like watch and subscribe, I just find this funny that guys keep trying to like pull this on me. And it's like, oh, I like you for this. I like you because you choose to be a virgin. And it's like, if I didn't want to be a virgin tomorrow, if I didn't want to be a virgin in 5 minutes, I could go find somebody. I've had people pursuing me, trying, and it's like, I'm not the most vocal about my choice in abstinence. But if you date me, you'll probably realize I strongly believe in abstinence because I'm not going to sleep with you. I might make out with you or whatever, but um, well, I'm never gonna have sex with you. Who knows? I might sleep with you, sleeping in the same bed, going camping, whatever. You might sleep in the same space, but I'm never gonna have sex with you unless you marry me. But I find that interesting how guys try and turn things around and switch things up. But if you like, watch and subscribe. Thanks for supporting my channel. Bye.